Hi, Sandy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Welcome to the A.D.K. Rock and Metal channel. Today we are doing more of our broken down and pulled apart series. And that's where we take a video, we break it down, we pull it apart into 1 minute chunks. We'll go away, we watch the video and make our own commentary, our own notes, and then we come back to discuss it all together. Today's band we are talking about is Babymetal, and we're going to be going back to their 2016 song, Karate. This is, so Babymetal, if you don't know who they are, again, we're going back to that phrase, what rock have you been living under? Because even if you don't know their songs, you will have heard their name within the rock and metal world. They've been around since 2010, so now almost 15 years. Bloody hell. And Karate came out in 2016. It was off their second album, Road to Resistance, which personally for me is their best album they've done. They had the first album, which was they hadn't quite worked out where they were going direction wise, and they had done way too much J-pop rock and kind of hadn't quite worked out the balance right for me on the first album, with best songs like Gimme Chocolate. And then on later ones where we've got things like Papaya and stuff, they've gone in a completely different direction on more recent albums, whereas this album had probably all the more metal orientated, was probably some of the better, more interesting structures for me. But yeah, we've gone away and we've listened to this. So we're going to give you the first minute of this song for you at home, and then we're going to come back and talk about it. So this is Karate, and the first minute for you at home. Okay, I'm going to go first in this order, if that's okay for you guys. So it was kind of interesting because I do know this song. I do listen to it from time to time. But it was quite interesting just to kind of spend some time breaking it down into elements. So for me, I love the ominous start to the video. It's got a gothic vibe to it in a way, the way it's lit, the way it looks. It's got that electronica build up, which can sometimes put you off, but I think it works well within the context of the song. There's an awesome groove riff when it kicks in. I love the groove. It's a groove metal riff in there. Stunning visuals and great synchronization between the artist's visuals and the music. So yeah, I really enjoyed that first minute. It hasn't really, it's just kind of that build up at that point. We haven't really got into where the vocals are properly kicking in. We're just getting that kind of groove metal section. So yeah, first minute, absolutely awesome. Loved it. Andy.
Babymetal. They were promoted to the main stage at a 2014 festival I went to called Sonosphere in Stevenage in Hertfordshire. And I was surprised to hear from you that they started in 2010, because in 2014 it seemed like they just came out of nowhere, and this sort of this very strange band featuring three Japanese girls with a metal band behind them would be catapulted onto quite a prestigious slot on this particular bill. So they've been around for a little while, and perhaps this was their sort of breakthrough time when I saw them. But you said this is 2016, so a couple of years after that. Yeah, like you, I've written exactly the same word, ominous. The opening sort of part of the song, musically, visually, it looks really good as well. The lighting, I like the girls with the sort of martial arts gesture, the karate stance and everything. And as you say, the way that syncs together, the way they work together in the opening sort of few shots is really, really good. There's like a percussive riff that starts the song, which to me doesn't sound like it's being played on guitar, but it shows that somebody is playing.
I didn't get that.
Yeah, whether that's correct or not. But then immediately after that is that riff you're referring to. I've got more of an industrial feel for that, sort of a down-tuned industrial metal riff, which really grabbed you again and think, oh yeah, this is kicking off really well. So visually and musically, really good start to the song.
Kirk?
Yeah, tasty guitar riff and industrial drum beat in the opening minute. And when I heard it, it put a smile on my face. I was thinking, finally, a song by Babymetal that can qualify as metal, much heavier than any other song I've ever heard from them. You can hear a clear gent influence. This is 2016. Periphery and Gojira are nominated for Grammys. They play these kinds of down-tuned, double-jointed riffs, don't they? So we know where the influence is coming from. Dev, can I just pick you up? I think the second album's called Metal Resistance rather than Road to Resistance. Because I just had a quick look, the 2016 record.
Okay, maybe I know they've got the. Sorry, maybe I've written it down.
Yeah, it's got the word resistance in. But yeah,
I know Road to Resistance is a great track, so that's probably why I was making my notes. Sorry. Yeah, apologies.
But yeah, I mean, 82 million views on YouTube. They're a phenomenon, this band, aren't they? Which we'll get on to when going to the next part of the song.
Okay, well, let's play you minute 1 to minute 2 for you at home. 'Kay, so this is where we get our first kind of significant changes. So we go from that groove metal riff into the up-tempo. I can't quite quantify exactly what this style is, where it goes, hey, yeah, say, yeah, say, yeah, so it's a massive change up, and it always, no matter how many times I listen to this, it always feels a little bit odd when I hear it to go from that riff into this section. But then it does make sense within the context of the whole song. But then it's before you even get a chance to kind of almost whinge and complain about that, they switch out into the hey, and they start doing the counting in Japanese, and you get Sue Metal doing this lovely, delicate vocals behind it over the karate counting, which I thought was brilliant. I really like that. And then you're almost into a chorus, which is a combination of kind of J-pop with combination with rock. And so you've almost gone in this whole 1 minute section, or the first 2 minutes of the song, you've gone from ominous, groove metal, J-pop, J-rock, into, and then almost atmospheric progression. It's a really interesting combination of styles, and it just throws them at you without giving you a chance to really absorb each section. So it's one of those ones where the more you listen to it, the more you appreciate the complexity of the writing compared to some of the stuff where I heard on the first album, which had complexity but didn't really make as much sense, the flow of them. This one makes a lot more sense to me. So yeah, I actually really enjoy it. And it also makes a sense to me of why you can see Babymetal always put up there as almost pioneers of the Japanese metal crossover genre, because they're one of the few Japanese metal bands that have crossed over into Western worlds. There are a few others that have kind of sticked in there, but there are so many Japanese metal bands, and I've listened to a lot of them, and they all sound very similar. Babymetal doesn't sound like any of the others. So they're kind of spearheading their own genre, which is why they're genre leaders, if you like, within their category. So yeah, really interesting. Andy.
You said, "Oh, you're pleased that we're coming across a decent Babymetal song with metal elements in it," and you know, both said it get off to a good start. The say yeah, you say. I mean, those vocals. That's where
it lost you.
It lost me. Yeah, that's when you jump in and think, well, this is a novelty band, gimmick band, trying to do something different for the sake of it. I don't know if that's a familiar sort of style from the band. Sorry, from this style of music from their country, and they're trying to incorporate into metal. But that's where the credibility sort of disappeared for me. You know, I'm really loving it up to that point. Um, I mean, there's those vocals, and then that's kind of like the lead into the verse, and it's just sort of again, it's pop vocals, and then it seems like there's all three of them joining in on the chorus, and it's just pop vocals after that sort of almost childlike nursery rhyme type statements at the beginning, because you know that's repeated several times. On the visual front, I really like what I'm seeing. The lighting again is really good. The sort of incorporation to, I assume, karate moves into making it into sort of like a dance, you know, really fits the music, and the girls do that really well together. But at this point, all I can hear is these sort of little girl pop vocals. You know, the sort of like the metal elements have all disappeared at this point for me, unfortunately, after a great start.
And I think this is where it's important to understand that this is Japanese metal in the sense of, if you look at everything from, you could say things like Love Bites as well vocally, although they may not do it quite the same as what Babymetal were doing at this point, because they were younger at the time in Babymetal there. But what you would call I guess the cutesier pop Japanese pop vocals are massive within that genre. I mean, it could be, I suppose you could look at it as though if the Japanese would go, oh, I don't like this Western metal. There's no clean vocals. There's no nice girl singing in it. It's rubbish. It's because they could say the same about, from their point of view, that it's just some blokes shouting in a microphone. It's rubbish. Right, yeah. Because it's their culture. So I think it's important, because they're not going to change it to make it sound. And there's very few Japanese bands that go out and sound like Western metal bands, because it's very much their culture. So I do disagree with you on this one. I actually think it works really well, but I think from within their culture, within their scene. And I think if they sounded like metal bands from the Western, they would have never have got as big. They would never have got out of their country.
That's me not making the distinction and realizing this is what they're trying to achieve. You know, this is the style of music that originates from Japan when you incorporate it with metal. So they are trying
anime as well, and I think that we did do Bloody Wood and Babymetal the other day, and they haven't done quite as the cutesy vocals when we did it on that one, because obviously they've matured, they're in their 20s now, etc. So, but if you look at the anime culture as well, and the stylization of what's big in the Japanese culture, that kind of cute anime vocal kind of style, I guess is the best way of saying it, is very much part of their culture. So, and I think that's what people have latched onto in this country, is because it's so different, or not just in this country, but in Western countries and outside of Japan, is the fact that it is so different. People like the contrast to listening to Testament and Slipknot and blah blah blah. They like, actually, this is really cool, and it's probably why they're doing so many crossovers. But Kirk, thoughts?
Yeah, well, I'm going to disagree with you as well. So first of all, they're not a metal band, and I'll tell you the reasons why. You can't be a metal band if you're a manufactured artist. I think it probably would be offensive to underground Japanese metal bands to say that this is Japanese metal. It's not. It's pop music, and good pop music. Look at the shit that comes out of England.
You're such a cock.
No, but look at the crap that comes out of England that's manufactured, like Little Mix and stuff like that, right? At least with this pop music, they've got heavy guitars in there. You've got shredding guitar solos. It's fun. So judging it on that, I haven't got a problem with it. But I am offended when people say these are a metal band. They're not, just because they've got the name, the word metal in the title. This is not metal music. Metal is not supposed to be cute and fluffy. Absolutely not. As soon as you do that, like Andy said there, you zone out. So
just quick one. I'm also going to say, Kirk, Faith No More aren't a metal band.
Yeah, no,
they're an indie pop band.
Yeah, whatever. So I'm more interested in this band as a case study of how rock can produce global superstars, and people should be studying this. Phenomenal what they've achieved. It's all about the theatre of performance, the visuals, the razzmatazz. Again, I've got nothing against this. I just object to them being called a metal band. But I've also gone away and done a bit of studying into Japanese idol culture. Yeah. Now, Dave, this is what's unique, and we just do not have this in Britain or in the West in general. These artists, often there's an unspoken rule, they're not allowed to date because it's going to break the hearts of their followers. The devotion that these people have for this band is worthy of respect. And one of the reasons when you listen to these people who follow idols and raise money for them, is it gives them inspiration. They see them and think, oh, they've come from nowhere and they're trying to get to the top, and they can go on that journey with them. So as patrons, it's remarkable just how they grow together. And that's something I didn't really understand until this week when I looked into it, because I was watching a Japanese drama and I was like, what is going on here? The idol culture and people wanting to murder this pop star's wife because it's come out that, you know, they said that that was the tour manager. It turns out that this idol's married to her and has kept it secret. So we just don't have that here. So
No, we don't. Yeah.
And I'm guessing these three, does anybody know if they date men? Probably not, because that could ruin the fan base. But just one more thing I will say, though. The chorus is an improvement. I like that. But I'm going to have to go back to what Andy said. Those childlike vocals, it's like listening to that song, How Much Is That Doggy in the Window? And what the fuck that's doing in an aggressive song, I will never know. But it does not work.
Okay, we've got very varying opinions on this one. Let's go to the next minute. This is minute 2 to minute 3 for you at home. Okay, I'm going to kick this one off. So I'm going to go completely against what Kirk just said on the previous section. I'm going to say this is modern metal with a blend of J-pop. That's my twist on there. This is why I say this makes Babymetal pioneers of their genre, of the J-pop metal crossover. And we've seen crossovers. So, and if you want to talk crossovers, so... And there are always going to be times when genres cross over within genres. Now, you would probably say a crossover within rock, let's say a crossover within rock category to another rock category is fine. But they're obviously bringing in an outside element, which is the J-pop element. So, but I'm happy with that because you've always got to expand the scene. Now, we've seen that when they did their Electric Callboy crossover. That was even more poppy. That was just pure kind of pop crossover. But we've also said that pop isn't a bad word. It just means it's popular. But I actually think, yeah, that they are spearheading a genre, but you have to accept that metal is not going to just sound like Death, Obituary, and Metallica for the rest of its life. It's got to expand. It's got to grow out of those genres and blend in more other elements. But they're always going to be the bands that are going to stand there and be the grassroots bands that are going to stick to the basic elements of whether it's doom, whether it's hardcore, and they're going to be out there and they're just going to deliver the core elements without any outside of the lines, if you like. But yeah, I thought it was modern metal with J-pop. I thought it sounded great. Andy?
Yeah, this section it's got that part that we both detest, me and Kirk, you know, the Sia and then the Soya with the verse in between.
Yeah.
So nothing much more to add, but I will just say, again, this is the Japanese culture. This is the Japanese way, and this is obviously, you know, a route that's been decided and dictated upon the band. They do look very sexualized. That they seem to be the outfits. I'm not quite sure where this. It's almost like a French maid cross with a schoolgirl kind of outfit, you know. So there's obviously been a lot of thought into that. Because that's the appeal of this band as well, isn't it? You know, especially in their home market. You know, the sexualization and of the performers. You know, that's a big element in sort of Japanese culture and media all over. But yeah, just another minute of the same sort of stuff, really. And I'm just still wondering what the appeal is for the Western market, apart from the element I've just described. Where is the metal behind it? Is the guitar riff, which we were all championing at the beginning, is that strong enough to appeal to sort of Western metal fans, and they just sort of seen the the K-pop vocals being as just something a little bit different from the norm that they listen to normally, just something a bit of a refreshing change to your standard Metallica, Obituary, whatever albums you might be listening to. I don't know. I know of one Babymetal fan in the local scene, but I've not really spoke to him about what the appeal is for him. But
do you know, I think a lot of it is down to how we, if you think about when they came out and how we consume music, we don't see music as an investment. So we don't buy an album and then sink our hearts and our souls into being committed to that album. We see it as a commodity. And the biggest thing I've had from people when we've discussed Babymetal before on this channel is, you guys have got a tops taking things so seriously. It's fun. It's a great fun. They're great fun. And actually, that's what made me start to kind of look at it slightly differently and go, just because it doesn't sound like classic metal doesn't mean it's not good. It just means that it's not within my normal comfort zone. And actually, is it fun? Is it enjoyable to listen to? Is it a case of, and I think we've always said when we've talked about them, is like, if you was at a concert or something like that and it was playing and there was a big crowd, everyone jumping, it'd be quite fun, but I probably wouldn't listen to it at home. But it looks like it'd be a great festival and a great concert and stuff like that. And I think that's where previously you would be more dedicated to music, whereas now an album comes out, it's almost just instantaneous gratification, move on, something else comes out, another bit of gratification. And I think that's where I find a lot of this stuff is, as soon as you stop taking it too seriously, you can actually enjoy it. But when you start, like when we've looked at it before and we said, well, how much influence do the girls have in the band in the writing process? Because then are they, well, I don't think we've ever really called Babymetal a group, or sorry, a band. We've called them a group in terminology, because we said, well, they're not a band because they've got a musician group and that go off and write stuff and they perform what's been given to them. They have some element of writing in the lyrics, but they don't write any of the music. So to me, it's a case of it's a group that come out and perform. Like you used Kirk, Little Mix. Some people write their music, they go out and they perform it. And that's kind of where I see Babymetal. They are a collective group, but as soon as you stop taking it too seriously and go, you can't be a band unless you've been in the studio and argued with each other and really fought over those songwriting processes and had the 5 people sat there and batter the songs with each other, because they haven't done that. Some guys wrote in it and given the music to the guys in the studio, and some guys put a solo over it and then given them the vocals and then they've sung it. As soon as you kind of accept that, you can actually start to enjoy it more. But that's kind of where I think is why the people that really enjoy it in this country are the ones that don't really take the musical element as seriously. I think I could be completely wrong. I could be, and I'm sure that there'll be people in the comments who'll say you're talking out your ass. They are the most dedicated, and we're committed to them, etc., etc. I'm sure there'll be a lot of that, but that's where my head goes. Why people have taken it on board, because it is different. They can just have fun with it, and they don't have to take it too seriously and look too deep into the meaning, etc. But Kirk, thoughts?
I do agree with a lot of what you've just said there. And they should be compared with Little Mix rather than a metal band. And again, I'm not being disrespectful there. If they were called Baby Rock, we wouldn't be calling them a metal band, would we? This is really interesting pop music that takes a lot of risks, that's built for a live stage, and it was manufactured to go on and dominate the world. And they were set up to do that, weren't they? To be an export of Japanese soft diplomatic power. Really impressive what they've achieved. I love the choreography. It's spellbinding. It's fun. So I can like this music, and I just don't take them serious as a metal band. I don't think they want to be taken serious as a metal band. And I don't think the songwriters set out to think we're going to pioneer a new genre that's going to be accepted within the world of heavy metal. So if we just see it as almost like experimental pop music that changes genre with each album, like David Bowie used to do in the 70s, then you can take it seriously. And yeah, I don't dislike this band, because as soon as I can divorce myself from that and recognize they're not a metal band, I can enjoy it and I don't have to take it as seriously. But I would be curious to learn, though, if people still insist these are what Japanese metal sounds like, I'd be curious to learn the opinion of, a death grind band like Defiled, or the black metal band Psy or that Japanese thrash metal band Abigail, who are all taken very
Yeah.
seriously in the West and recognized for their excellence. I'd be interested to know what their opinion is on Babymetal. I guarantee it would be very negative.
So here's a good example of modern stuff in the Western market. Artist Poppy. Is she a
Yeah,
metal
true.
artist?
She's probably a good example, actually.
So she's someone who I
Hmm.
have not taken a single bit seriously with at all. Because first of all, the name of it, Poppy, I'm like, sorry, what? What's that about? You're a pop star then, aren't you? And then the only reason we saw it more was because I'd heard some people had referred about us checking her out. And then we did that video which she did with Knocked Loose.
Yeah.
And she had that guttural vocal, and you're like, what the fuck is this? Jesus. But then she also does pop stuff. And
She
that's
did
a
a
really
debut
weird thing. I'm
album.
like,
Yeah.
she does pop music, she does electronica, experimental, heavy metal, and rock. And you're like, but I probably want to listen to your heavy metal stuff, but I'm not really keen on what you're doing pop wise, love. So can you leave that
Yeah, you're
aside?
right.
And maybe
You're right on that.
that's the crossover for what you're getting as well. And I don't see Poppy as a metal artist.
No, I know what you mean. But you want to listen to heavy stuff, don't you? Whereas it's
Yeah.
probably the opposite with these, but yeah.
It's an interesting one that she's because especially with her doing things like Knock Loose as well, one of the heaviest bands out there at the moment, and she's doing vocals on that and doing live festival performances and stuff. So yeah, really interesting. Okay, let's do the last. What have we got here? We got the last. Let's do the last 2 minutes of it for you at home. So yeah, minutes 3 to minutes 4:52. Okay. There's one thing that stood out in here that I couldn't work out. There's a guttural vocal delivery at some point. Some guy is doing some guttural vocals, and I don't know who that is. So it ain't the girls. There's no way the girls are doing some like death metal guttural vocals at a couple of points, which I thought we'd really like to know where that is. It's to me the video is probably the standout for here. It's a great visual on there. I mean, the song itself, it doesn't allow it to be genre defined. Now that can be a problem, as we're talking here. Is it pop? Is it metal? Is it because it doesn't? It's just throwing. It's like a pick and mix. It's just been a pick and mix bag of genres they've just thrown in together, and it's kind of like if they do like it's like someone had a soundboard of recordings and then pressed the shuffle button, and then did like on a was it a slot machine. And that's your song for today. And they're like, yay, we're going to call this one karate. But as I say, I mean, the only thing I can say about Babymetal is I'm glad Babymetal exists, because if Babymetal didn't exist, I don't think we would get anywhere near the amount of influences from the Japanese music coming over. Because before Babymetal, I can't remember anyone talking about any Japanese metal bands over here in the UK. No one was talking about it. Japanese metal did their thing. Western metal festivals did their thing. And now we get to hear, because of Babymetal, we've explored all these different bands. We've had bands like the Love Bites. We've had Bandmade. We've got Fate Gear that we've covered. We've got Nemophile. Oh, sorry, Nemophila, I think is what they're pronounced, which we've really enjoyed on the channel. Sasiga, what other ones we got on there? There's so many in there. Maximum the Hormone. I mean, we would not have heard of these bands, I don't think, if it wasn't for the fact that Babymetal did that crossover appeal. And I think we're greater to have that access to that sort of music. So yeah, no, thoroughly enjoyable. Andy, final thoughts?
The guttural vocals must have been very brief, because I don't remember hearing that. So I mean, I listened to it twice, if in all honesty. But what I did notice that in this sort of final section of the song, there's like a chill out part. It comes down a little bit, and there's another chorus. And I think at that point, the song must be finishing. But they return to the chill out section. So it goes beyond it further than it needs to. This particular song.
Okay.
There was something else I was going to refer to, I can't remember, regarding sort of the whole genre and the impact of Babymetal, but I can't remember what I was saying.
No worry. You can come back to it if you remember.
Yeah, I will do. But yeah, final thoughts.
Yeah, you're referring to the middle eight where in the video they pick each other up off the ground. Oh, that's the best part of the song, other than the gent riff. And I can see why the audience bonds with this group, to use your word, Dave, because again, if you look at it from idol culture, you're seeing the virtues of friendship, aren't you? You know, they're picking each other up off the ground. One of them's doing the cute oh in the background. And at this point, I'm thinking, the truth is, does anyone care what three middle-aged men, what their opinion is about Babymetal?
No, not at all.
Probably not. Exactly, yeah. Is the idol fan base going to lose any sleep at night if an elitist in a Napalm Death t-shirt has a negative opinion? Yeah, they actually probably will. That's what's the problem. But the final thoughts. I didn't realize they've been around since 2010, because I was going to say the cute image cannot last forever when they age. And I was going to say, is there any longevity for this band? There is. They've proved it. 15 years is incredible in the pop industry, which we know is brutal and unsentimental. And this band have built a global following. And there's no doubt that this could go on. Even in 10 years' time, they'd be playing even bigger stadiums. So I keep saying it. This band should be a case study in the music industry. What are they doing? Is there anything that bands over here can learn to get to that next level? And if all the lessons are, yes, you've got to, have a gimmick and you need to bring in outside songwriters, we'll all hate that, won't they? And then they'll get accused of selling out. But it's just phenomenal what they've achieved, and they intrigue me. Yeah,
that's what exactly
talking about this band and listening to them.
Well, that's exactly what happened with The Warning. When they brought in on their last album, Keep Me Fed, they brought in outside help because they were on the road so much. They brought in some outside help in the studio. They'd written songs, but they needed some help to kind of organize them. And because of that, people were like, "Oh no, this album's not as good." They've got people coming in. It doesn't sound like the classic Warning because you've got people writing, and they had a massive backlash on it. But other people have said it's their best album, and it's their first album that's actually charted, because of the fact that it's had a full album. Every song on it has been released as a single, and they've all been hits. They've just done almost like a greatest hits equivalent of an album. But people are like, "Oh, that's because you've written too much poppy stuff, because you brought in outside writers." And it's an interesting one, because they did bring in people, but they've also said that they wrote every song. They just had people outside to help them with some of the structuring and just some of the production elements. But yeah, no, it's an interesting debate, Babymetal and Japanese culture. I think it's always going to be something that we're always going to keep coming back to. But there we go, Babymetal and karate. Now, if you enjoyed the video today, please do like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the video sometime very soon. Take care.